venture down the, oh wait, just Dr. Price is there, hold on.
Is that Catwoman?
Close enough.
Catwoman.
It's Catwoman.
Catwoman.
It's Catwoman? Catwoman
Yeah.
is a character that.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. So, there's Dr. Price, cute little fella. Hello, Dr. Price. Say hello. Someone say hello, Dr. Price. Say. Hi, Dr. Price. So, but anyway, we're going to continue down our adventure on the adaptability focused paradigm. But before we go into that, I'm going to just say this is kind of a, oh, I didn't read my book today. Wow, look at that. You were Catwoman. Looks like you actually. But this is kind of a sad one.
Our last one.
Yeah, but Amanda says she's coming back to live in the basement.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'll be here.
Okay, so, but actually this is kind of, I don't know what we're going to do. We'll have to like put something there to like, I don't know how we're going to do this. We'll figure it out. We're going to have to like be smarter on the next one. But anyway, so we're continuing. I digressed down the journey of the adaptability focused paradigm. Actually started, initiated, created by my good friend Dr. Rob Sinnott. Chiropractors, if you're not on this journey, I'd get on the ship now, man, because this is it. For patients out there, enjoy it, because this is what we've been doing for 30-some years, and we're going to keep doing it. We're not changing, but we're going to try to explain it to you. So now we're kind of getting to the meat and potatoes. I'm going to show them the text. That's Dr. Rob's text. Thank you, Rob. But now we're really going to discussing the autonomic nervous system, which I got the easiest part here. Really, the role of the autonomic nerve system, or some people call it the automatic nerve system, it's necessary for coordination of the organism, of the human being, to adapt to its external stressors, the demands that are placed upon it. When those demands are too great and they're placed upon you, you fall into a state of what we call stress vulnerability, which means as the demands keep happening, the struggles keep occurring. In some situations, you may develop symptoms. Or you may not. You may just not realize it till you get into that fourth stage, which is that pathological state, which is that dangerous state. And obviously our job is to address the autonomic nerve system. Obviously the demands of life are still going to be there. They're not going to go away. The struggles of life are still there. But to put you in a state of what's called resiliency, so that you can outweigh the demands and not struggle with life. So, as Dr. Rifted would say, it's the role of the autonomic nervous system is to create vegetative homeostasis for the organism. That's what we're going to talk about today. So with that, I go to one of my last ones. I'm kind of sad. Who's going first? Oh wait, Dr. Claggett, I'm sorry. I got out of rule. I'm so sorry. So, Dr. Claggett.
All right, so basically we're talking about the scope of the autonomic nervous system. And so essentially when we look at it, we're not just brains in a jar, just like hearts are by themselves or livers are by themselves. Everything's really interconnected.
So we're saying we're not parts or parts.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're an entire environment where everything's controlled by everything else. And the key factor for controlling that is your brain and spinal cord leading to your nervous system. So literally, you have an entire communication network that goes and regulates your heart, your lungs, your muscles, your digestive organs, the hairs on the back of your neck, literally everywhere.
Not on the forehead, like, because he doesn't have any. So, but I think that was really, go back and see what you said. We're all interconnected, and there is would you say, an interconnected? Is that what you said? Which I think is huge. That there's a connection of the entire body is completely coordinated by the
nerve system.
Nerve system. It's controlled and regulated by the nerve system. And I thought it was really, and I'll let you keep going here, but you nailed that very good. We're not parts. Unfortunately, the mechanistic model, the allopathic model is, oh, you have a runny nose, it's a runny nose problem. You have a stomach, oh, it's a stomach problem. Because they look at it as parts or parts. The vitalistic model is the whole is what we look at. So, right?
Yep. And so looking at the whole part of the whole nerve system in the body, you have these different sections that are responsible for different things. And so what we do is we analyze and measure those, but these ladies are going to go into it and exactly what parts control what.
Soon to be doctors of
Yeah.
chiropractic.
Very soon.
On February, what day?
23rd.
That's pretty exciting. You graduate second, right?
Yeah.
So you're the second doctor of the two.
Yep. Okay. So I'm talking about sympathetic supply, and sympathetic supply is in charge of speeding up our bodies. And so for me, for example, there's two things I'm scared of. One, snakes, and number two, my sister. Okay, so if I'm walking through my yard and I see a snake on the ground, my response without thinking about it is going to be my pupils are going to dilate, my heart's going to start racing, and I'm going to jump back. And that's my body having a sympathetic response. And as chiropractors, we work with that, and through the adjustment, we can have an influence on that, particularly the areas of the thoracic spine and then some of the low back as well.
It's like the mid back and the lower back.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So what happens if your sister has a snake?
Then I'm really
That's
scared.
I've thought about trying to prank her with
Well, we got 3 days.
Yes.
Okay, and that's all I have. So now we're gonna go into parasympathetic.
Say goodbye because we won't see you next week. We're really sad.
The second part of the autonomic nervous system is the parasympathetic branch, and that is responsible for slowing down functions in the body. As chiropractors, when we work with the top region of the neck or the tailbone, we influence that system. The most important communication pathway in the parasympathetic branch is the vagus nerves, and those influence the homeostatic systems of the body. So we can measure vagal tone, and that tells us the level of adaptability that the body has. And Mike's going to talk about how we measure that after Dr. Francois.
So basically what you're trying to say is the body has to coordinate, right? Let's kind of tighten this up here. The body is coordinated by the autonomic nervous system
Yes.
to adapt to the demands, so we don't fall into stress vulnerability. And it's all interconnected. Everything is interconnected, correct?
Yep.
One of those is the sympathetic nervous system, which speeds us up. That's the gas pedal, gets us going. Another one is the parasympathetic nervous system. That's the brakes, slows us down. So think about this as we go here. The body is coordinated. There's necessary coordination. So the organs are all interconnected to speed up or slow down depending on the demands that are being placed upon us. If it's overloaded, then what happens is those demands overload us, misalignment, what's that called? Vertebral subluxation. Now we're into a really serious state of stress vulnerability, and the demands are even more chaotic, correct? So
I get to talk about the speed of that autonomic impulse. So parasympathetic and sympathetic, they have different speeds of impact to the body. So for example, the sinoatrial node, the SA node that controls your heart rate, varies considerably depending on what nerve is controlling it. So the sympathetic supply can increase that heart rate up to 200 beats a minute or more
which is a lot.
very quickly. These effects are seen within 2 seconds, peak at 4 seconds, and then end in approximately 10 seconds. So now the parasympathetic supply is much faster. This one right here peaks and impacts within 1 second. So that parasympathetic is 80 to 90% faster than the sympathetic supply.
So hold on. So what you're trying to say is then, is it possibly that there's a lot of demands placed upon the body, sympathetic demands, that our parasympathetic, our brake, needs to be like super powerful?
Correct.
Okay.
So the difference is the difference of the neurotransmitter. So the sympathetic takes about 8 to 10 seconds from beginning to completion, and the parasympathetic is 1 to 2 seconds and can actually alter the heartbeat within 1 heartbeat within itself. So what does that mean for us? That means balance, control, and homeostasis, right?
Vegetative homeostasis.
Vegetative
I love that
homeostasis.
word.
So in human terms, I relate this to a car getting on a highway. So I apologize to Dr. Rob if I botched this analogy, but basically, if you turn on to get on the highway and you start going 20, 25 miles an hour and you get up to 75, that's your sympathetics. That's the one that's speeding us up, right? So eventually you speed up and you get there and you're speeding. Now you crest over a hill and all of a sudden you see a car accident. What's the first thing you have to do? You have to hit those brakes really hard. Now is it important for that to slow down quickly or not as fast? So the parasympathetics have to respond instantaneously to that potential so you don't crash. So basically, both systems are vital for function, but they vary at different speeds depending on the situation and help your body adapt, so that way you have control of your car, your heart, and your body. Make sense?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Price.
So, how do we measure all this stuff? We've talked about all these different things, this autonomic stuff, and para, and and all these different things. You guys are probably wondering, well, okay, well, how do I know if I'm in one or in the other, or what's going on? That's where we have this cool technology in our office called heart rate variability that measures how your body is adapting and where you're at within those two systems. So how's the autonomic nerve system functioning, and are you pushed more into a sympathetic side?
Which would be stress vulnerability.
Or are you pushed more to the parasympathetic side? So it's important to know which one of these you're in, so we can know how to specifically adjust the spine to help stimulate those two. That's the cool part that we get to do, and how we analyze what's going on with your spine and the nerve system, figuring out where the vertebral subluxation is, and then increasing the body's ability to adapt through the adjustment to allow your body to function and adapt on its own the way it's designed to. So whether you're in that sympathetic side where your body's in overdrive, go, go, go all the time, which quite honestly is probably the majority of at least Americans here in our country, or if you're stuck on that other side where your body's just not getting going like it needs to because you're stuck in that healing mode for some reason. So your body will do that for a number of different reasons. We need to figure out here, why is it doing that, and what do we need to do to get your body functioning properly?
So I think, and to kind of wind it up here, and actually this is good. I wish you ladies were here next week because we're really going to get good. For those that have been to the office or been under care, or have been with a spouse, a friend, parent, grandparent, whatever, and deciding should I start care and get going. That's why we use the technology we use. When you come into the office, we listen to you. We'll maybe ask some questions that you're like, why are they asking me those questions? Not just on your initial visit, periodically in your visit. Are you speeding up, slowing down? What's happening? We had this conversation the other night about, or was it Friday? We had it about sinus problems and stomach problems, which was fun, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And so you're probably wondering, why are they asking those questions? Well, we're trying to decide, do we have a problem that's a sympathetic or a parasympathetic problem? And then when we adjust, you may go, well, you only adjusted, for those who've been to a chiropractor before, why you guys only adjust in like one area? Because we're really focusing on that autonomic nerve system so we can push you into more of a state of stress resilience so that you no longer have to struggle on a daily basis. That's, I think, what really, and I'm going to use us, but really separates what we do here. Our model is we really want to be precise and specific when we check you so that we can address the proper the component of the autonomic nerve system. Instead of just going in there and just willy-nilly going here, going there, we want to make darn sure that we're precise in the area that we are, that we're working so that necessary coordination of the human body can occur. Because the body was not built off chaos. It was not built to function in a state of chaos. It was just built to function in a state of precision. And that's why the model of care that we do here at Koca Chiropractic, at Chiro World, and what these ladies do, and at your mom and dad's clinic, is very precise, focused on that system. So if you got questions, post them below, ask us when you come in. If you know somebody that wants to get checked, start riding the ship of the adaptability focused paradigm. We're here, man. We're here to help you. Really, I got anything else to wrap up? Other than next week, man, I'm going to miss you girls, I really am.
Yeah, we're going to miss you guys.
I showed you my sad face earlier.
Tears.
I might have here. So next week we're going to get into some really deep stuff. So you might have to join us like via phone. We might even call you guys and chime in because we're going to get into transgenerational stress. I'm thinking this one's going to be about a 3 or 4 week deal. It's deep, and it's one of those when you first hear, you're going to go, "What are they talking about?" But I really think this might be one that we run through the first part of March because there is a lot there. So everybody, we'll see you. We're out of here. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. And thank you.
Thank you.